Hello, Safe Harbor Yogis. Thank you for joining me again this week. Today we are going to hone in a little bit on patience and also the ability to not be okay and be okay with it. So those of you who haven't taken class with me before, as I just start in on my class stuff, my name is Jen. I've been teaching for about 15 years between yoga and meditation. I'm glad to be able to share it with you. And of course, if you should have any questions throughout class or after class or have any comments, please let Sarah know and she can get the message to me. So we are going to get started. I'm going to demonstrate from the chair. If you are on the floor, I will give you alternatives to be able to work with that way. So let's get started. Now, as we're finding our way to our seat here, just get my own timer started here. Wonderful. Okay. So also, if you haven't taken class with me, this is Jasper. He's coming up the stairs to greet us here. So I'm sure he will be here most of our class. All right. So finding our chair, just a few little housekeeping things. If you haven't taken class with me before, there are two positions in our chair. There's the relaxed position where we are sitting back into the chair with our feet on the ground. Or there's the sitting just slightly ahead in a very safe way and just being a few inches away from it so you could use your own posture. So you'll hear me talking about that at certain points in time between relaxing and not. And also, again, having our feet firmly planted about hip width distance is where we want to be. Okay, so we'll go through the rest of it kind of as we go. But first, everyone in the room, go ahead and find your way down to your mat and lay down. Or if you're in your chair, sit in that relaxed position. Let your back come against it. Let the entire back of your body melt into the chair itself. And let your feet melt into the floor too. So let your legs hang heavy. Don't cross them. Don't do anything extra. Just simply sit there with your feet as that is. And I encourage you all, of course, if you are willing to close your eyes. Otherwise, you can just soften your gaze and bring your gaze down to the ground. The main reason that I do say that is it helps to block out the outside world. So we're not paying attention to what our neighbor here is doing. We could be able to actually immerse ourselves into our practice and really get the biggest benefit. So that's why I have mentioned that before. So as we settle into our seats, take a big, big breath in together here. We're going to take it however you like, into the nose or the mouth or whichever combination. But let's take a deep inhale. Fill your belly as much as you can. And exhale it out. This time we're going to try it in through the nose and out through the mouth, and feel free to sigh it out. Again, no one minds around you, and I'm a recording, so I'm not going to hear it. So go ahead, take a deep inhale in through the nose for me, please. Exhale it through the mouth. Doing two more of those. Take a big, big breath in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. On this last one, fill your belly even more and let it deflate even more on that exhale. Take a big, big inhale. And exhale it out. So like I said at the beginning here, we're going to focus today on being okay with not being okay. So this hits home with me every time I think of that particular saying. Because if we truly think about it, that's basically the universe or whomever giving us permission to heal. That we're allowed to not be okay at certain times. And that's all right. It's not going to implode our world. It's not going to harm anything. But you are allowed to have bad days. You're allowed to have tough moments. You're allowed to not be okay sometimes. And I think that's worth reminding of, just simply for the fact that we are immersed in such a crazy world out there where everything's moving way too fast. And sometimes we're kind of thrown into that whirlwind, right? So to be able to survive that whirlwind, we don't have to put on a fake face or tell everyone that we're going to keep trucking on and work so hard to the point that we're going to have a nervous breakdown. We have the right to not be okay sometimes, and that's okay. So taking that stress off of yourself, let that lift off your shoulders for a moment, that we're human. Again, we are all in these bodies on this crazy spinning planet together. So it is all right to not be 100% with it or perfect at any moment. And that's one thing that yoga really connects in with as well to kind of make it come full circle, is that with yoga, you are how you are during that practice, not how you were yesterday or 2 years ago or how you hope to be tomorrow. You are how you are. You have whatever ailment is your ailment. It is what it is in the moment. And the only moment is right now. So know that at this particular moment, every moment's new. We're never going to experience the same moment again and again and again. There's always going to be a different variant. So as we say that, I found a fairly beautiful little poem. And I apologize for staring into it very deeply because it printed very small. But again, with our eyes still closed or gaze low, stay inward, try to let this sink in. So the author had said, it is okay to take time to process the weight of changing things. And it is okay to not be sure of what the coming months will bring. But may you know that even here, you're much more than those things, and there is still room to come alive and thrive within the waiting. So the reason I really liked that one was because it gives us that permission to know that in this particular moment, in all the change that we're going through, and everything that we have going on in our own lives and in the lives of others around us and the world around us, this lets us thrive within the waiting. And I just thought that was such a cool way that they put that, because that's all we're really doing at most points. We're waiting. For what? Who knows? It could be anything. But being okay with being in that waiting phase, that we don't always have to be in the get up and go and be 100% there. And as long as we are trying our best at any given moment of the day, that's what matters. So you don't have to fake it, that you're not, that you're okay when you're not. You're allowed to have emotions. And in that time of waiting, you're allowed to feel whatever you're feeling. Again, you always want to improve and try to be better with some things. And of course, there's room to work on yourself within that waiting, but you don't have to expect perfection. So, with all of that now said, let's go ahead and just come back into our bodies here. You can keep your eyes closed or your gaze at the ground. And we're just going to simply make some small movements. What I'd like you all to do, please, is wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Make those movements any bigger if you feel that you want to move your arms around in any certain way. Just let them dangle on your chair or stretch up over your head or whatever you feel like doing with your body at this moment. go ahead and let any of those little fidgets out to allow us to be more still while we're practicing. So go ahead and make any movements that feel right to you. And as we settle in here now, still able to keep our eyes closed and our thoughts inside. But just a little note on the thoughts. For whenever we're practicing any type of meditation, yoga, mindfulness, whatever it may be within that realm, you want to try to reroute your thoughts. So there's this big misconception that every Buddhist and every yoga person is completely at peace in every single moment and their minds are empty and they're not thinking about anything extra. That's not true. So it's okay to have thoughts coming in and out while you're trying to practice, because trust me, I have them constantly. We have somewhere over 60,000, I believe it is. Don't quote me on that, but I believe about 60,000 thoughts a day that we have. So turning them off, it's not going to happen. So what we need to do is we need to just reroute those thoughts. We need to give them a different purpose or let them take a highway exit off to the side until we need that thought again. So as these thoughts and what I'm having for lunch and what's going to happen on Tuesday and what's going on, just try to reroute them. Two options there, at least that I find visually work the most easily, is you can think of a sky. Picture a bright blue sky with clouds floating by you. And just picture whatever that thought is. You can even picture the words themselves and just let them float up into a cloud and just pass on by. And know that that thought's not gone forever. You can come back to it again if it's something worthwhile, but you don't have to have it nagging at you while you're trying to practice. Also, again, another good way to think of it, which I use quite often myself, is thinking of a highway, just an empty highway you're driving down. No other cars, no other distractions, but you see those exits off to the side. Let those thoughts, let those words take that exit. Again, you can come back to it later, don't need it now. So anything other than what we're thinking about in this very moment, in this yoga class together, just let those extra thoughts go. So coming into our bodies again, let's go ahead and start to move our neck. So make some small movements. You can just dip your left ear toward your left shoulder, bring your chin to your chest, let your right ear come to your right shoulder, and let your head tip back. And once you've done a couple of the same in one direction, go ahead and swap sides. So then go the opposite way, bring your right ear to your right shoulder first, and then chin to chest, left ear to left shoulder, and back around again we go. So just waking up our necks there. Now let's shrug our shoulders, bring them up toward your ears really tight, almost to a point of building so much tension that it's uncomfortable. Once you're at that point, take a big inhale in this scrunched up little phase. On your exhale, let the shoulders drop. 2 more times. Let's go ahead and inhale, bring those shoulders up to your ears. Breathe in big and deep here. Exhale it out and drop the shoulders. One last time, inhale, shoulders come up nice and high toward your ears. Take that big inhale. Exhale it out and let any weight go with it. Wonderful. Go ahead and dip your chin down to your chest. Let your neck kind of just let go of some of the weight if possible. Bring your head back up. Let your head tilt back. Go ahead and bring your head back to normal. Shake it yes. Shake it no. And then from here, we're going to get into some actual stretching. So you can feel free to just gently blink your eyes open or bring your eyes back to the screen if you were following my instruction there. And as far as poses go, we're going to be very gentle with what we're doing. What I want to focus on more of is the mindfulness side of things. So right here and now, try to set an intention for today, an intention for our class, something that is going to help anchor you throughout the time together here for the next 30 or so minutes together. So if what I had said resonates with you, that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to be still within the waiting, or that, again, you're just practicing self-care, practicing self-love, any of those things, or if there's something bigger that you are working on your own, feel free to use that as your intention if what I'm saying doesn't fully hit home. But find something, a short phrase, a word, a picture in your mind, whatever it is that you want to be your intention for your class today, for your day today. It could be a specific person that you're meaning to reach out to, or that you're trying to send happy, good vibes to. It could be anything along really any line. So go ahead and find whatever works for you. Let that come into mind. And anytime that your brain wanders, that your mind starts going a million miles an hour again, let the thoughts go into the clouds. Let the thoughts take that exit. Or just come back to that mantra, that intention, whatever you're setting now. Let that be what your brain is repeating instead of any thoughts that don't pertain to this moment. So in our relaxed position here, we're just going to work with the legs. So those of you who are on the ground, you're more than welcome to sit up on the ground on your mat. And we're just going to extend one leg long at a time. So you can keep one leg in with your sole of your foot into your inner thigh if you're on the ground. You can do it that way to have that version. But what we're going to do is just straighten one leg at a time. So let's go ahead and straighten and lift our left leg up into the air. So you can see if I turn sideways, I'm bringing it about level with the ground, and I'm bringing my toenails back toward my face. So I'm flexing my foot like I'm standing on the wall in front of me. Take a big inhale. And exhale, let that foot come back down. Inhale, lift the right foot, right leg. Bring it that same way, nice and even with the body. And then on our exhale, let it go. Same thing 2 more times. Inhale and let that left leg lift. Bring it back down. Inhale and let the right leg lift up. Exhale, bring it back down. One more time. Inhale, left leg. Bring it down. Inhale, right leg. Bring it down. So just stretching throughout that. Now coming into a little bit of a lower back stretch here. You can stay as you are sitting back in your chair, or you can inch ahead just this tiny little bit away from the back of it. Again, within safety, within reason the whole time, of course. But what we're going to do is bring our feet a little bit wider than our hips, okay? Those of you who are on the ground, what we're going to do is what's called child's pose, which is a very similar version to what this is. So child's pose is while you're on knees, and I'm going to make sure that you can kind of see me here back from my mat. So where we're at here is, again, you can bring your knees just about as wide as the mat is and bring your big toes to touch behind you. Sit back onto those heels and let the toenail side of your toes come to the ground, and simply let your body come down with your forehead to meet the mat, and let your arms outstretch, or they could be back by your sides here, and just simply connect the forehead with the ground. Okay, so that's your version if you are simply on a mat. Those of us in chairs, let's bring our knees just a little bit wider than our hips. So our feet are out a little bit more too, about to the edges of our chair. So we're going to create the space in here so we can kind of fold into it. And by folding, I mean we're going to just hinge at our waist. So take those L fingers here, our pointer and our thumb. Bring them right around your hip crease. So right where you know that bend is when you're about to bend over. That's where we want to be from. So this entire front half, top half of our body is going to stay in one straight line. So easily enough, we're just going to go ahead and hinge our heart down toward the ground. So let your chest go forward. Wherever you are feeling your tailbone coming off of the chair, that's probably your stopping point. So again, finding that bend forward, it may be just to here. If it's just to here, bring your arms down to your knees. If you can go further than that, you can simply go down further. And again, using those arms on your knees here, just as you can see, I'm using my forearms and just simply clasping my hands or bringing my hands to prayer right here. That's where we want to be. So bringing ourselves into that posture where we can hinge forward and rest on our arms. Or if you feel that you have it in your body, again, by being mindful of our chairs as well here, you can let your whole torso come down. You can let your head hang heavy. You can let your arms hang heavy. So you can either collapse into yourself a little bit here, or you have the option to use those arms. And then once you're there on the arms, if you feel that you've had that stopping point before your torso got to your legs, just let your head drop down heavy. So let the top of your head be pulled toward the earth here. And our goal for this is simply that we're trying to recirculate the body. So recirculating the blood, letting it come to the head a little bit more so it does recirculate. Definitely a huge thing. You can close your eyes here for a moment. Feel whatever you're feeling in this moment. Letting any thoughts pass. And then slowly let your chin be the last thing to rise up. So those of you who are on mats too, just slowly bring yourselves that you're sitting onto your knees, and then you can find whatever comfortable seat you would wish to be in once you're there. But let's let our chin be the last thing to come up here. So just slowly roll yourself all the way up to seated. Give yourself a moment. You may feel some dizziness because of having your head down below your heart. So just be cognizant of that, of course. And then once we're here, so now we worked a little bit on just letting the body relax, right? So coming into our bodies a little bit more now. So finding some strength, finding some stretches that maybe you don't do every day, but are really helpful for the body. So first we're going to make those goalpost arms. So go ahead and come up with your arms out to the sides here, palms facing forward. I'd encourage you to use your own posture and just at least sit away from the back of the chair a tiny bit. And we're going to work with our shoulders and our chest here. So as we open our chest, we're going to bring our shoulders back and our elbows back a little bit more behind us. You'll feel that expansion in the chest. So go back as far as is comfortable. Let your chin come away from your chest. Gaze might come up toward the ceiling. Take a deep breath in. And on that exhale, let's close those elbows together right in front of our faces. Bring your hands to touch. Inhale, open up. Exhale and close. One more time. Inhale, open. Puff out that chest. Find that strength. Bring your shoulder blades together behind you. Exhale. Bring those elbows back together. Still stretching the shoulders, keeping the arms as they are here with our kind of elbows almost touching with our palms together. We're going to do what's called eagle arms. So another shoulder stretch. So working into our shoulders here, we're going to go ahead and just bring our arms that they're even with one another. So our elbows are up, palms are facing each other. We're going to bring our left elbow into the inner part of our right elbow. Okay, so again, magic trick there. Bring the left elbow to the inner right. From here, you can stay as you are if that's enough with your shoulders, or you can kind of twist your hands here a little bit, bringing that left hand over toward the left, bringing that right hand toward the right, and letting them meet. So you can see that I have my palm, or my fingertips rather, of my right hand into my left. So I'm really twisting into it here, and it's really giving that expansion in the back of my body. So it's perfectly fine if you can't make your hands meet, just simply giving them that little tug with elbow inside of elbow. That is wonderful. Take one more breath here. Let it go and let the pose go. Same thing with the opposite side. Just stretch out those shoulders a little bit, move them around, do whatever you need to do. And this time we're bringing our left elbow into our right elbow into our left elbow crease. So again, you can just simply have them crossed like this in front of you. If you want to go that extra mile, bring that right arm over toward the right, left hand over toward the left, and let the fingertips meet the palm. So find whichever version of these eagle arms that you'd like to, and breathe into this stretch. Big, big breath. Send it into the back of your body. Exhale and let those arms go. Wiggle them out, move the shoulders, do whatever you feel is necessary. Now that we've worked a little bit into the shoulders, getting into the rest of our bodies here. So we're going to come into what's called cat and cow pose. So working our way down a little bit. So we worked on the neck and the shoulders. Now we're going to kind of work down our bodies. So where we're going to go with this one, for cat and cow, it's all about arching and rounding the spine. And little fact that's kind of a fun fact to know, cheetahs, the reason that they are one of the fastest animals on the planet is because their spine moves in both directions. So we're not going to be cheetah fast, but at least it's good for us in some senses, and we know that that does work in some ways. So we're going to sit up nice and tall. And we're going to move ourselves away from the back of our chair. Those of you who are on the ground, you can sit in whatever position you would like with your legs, and then just simply do the same thing here. I personally like almost like that crisscross applesauce position with my legs and my knees wide with my feet together. So that's helpful. Please feel free to use that. Otherwise, we're going to round and arch the spine and thinking about the belly, because we're really working with our breath at all times with yoga. It's really bringing the breath and the movement into one. Yoga literally means the word yoke. In Sanskrit or in ancient languages, it means to yoke or to blend. So we're bringing ourselves together with this, that we have the ability to move with our breath and move with purpose. So as you think about your belly, when you inhale, it puffs out. When you exhale, it retracts. So we're going to work with that as we move. So if you think about caving the body in, so if we're trying to bring our belly button back toward our spine, that's going to be an exhale. If we're trying to bring our belly button out toward the front of us, that's an inhale. So on our exhales, what we're going to do, so I'm going to take a big deep breath in here first, and then I'm going to round my spine. So you can see I'm going to cave my shoulders in, bring my chin to my chest, let my hands slide down my leg. As my earphone comes out, let me just make sure it's still recording. I apologize, everyone. Okay, we're still good. Sorry about that. So where we're going with this once again, technology and working from home is fun sometimes. So with our feet firmly planted just about hip width distance once more, we're going to take that exhale and we're going to round out the spine. So our chin's going to come into our chest. We're going to kind of bring our belly button back in toward our spine and round out those shoulders. So you can bring the hands down the shins or whatever works for you. And as we inhale, we're going to sit back up, puff the belly out, and bring our shoulders onto our backs, puff our chest out, let our head drop back with our gaze up toward the sky. And then on our exhale, round it out again. Let your belly button come in toward the spine and go ahead and round and roll yourself into this little kind of ball. Inhale, puff out the belly, puff out the chest, gaze comes up, shoulders come back. And even maybe your tailbone might lift a little. Exhale, let that tailbone lower rather, and bring your chin back to your chest, round yourself in. Inhale, come back up and arch the spine on your inhale, and then come back into neutral. So coming into that natural flat back. From our cat and our cow, now that we've moved a little bit through our torso, we're going to come through some twists. So few options here. You may recognize these from past classes if you've taken them with me. These are some of my favorites for especially seated positions. So what we're going to do is bring our arms out to a big T, palms facing out toward the front of us, or front of the room. We're going to come into the stretch, and there are a few ways you can do it. You can keep the arms out like this and just simply twist from side to side and let your arms kind of bring yourself that momentum. Or you have the option of kind of swinging back and grabbing onto the chair with an arm or an elbow and keep stretching that way using that little bit of leverage. So you have some differences there that you can take. So find whatever you'd like. Come back to the middle with me after we've practiced that a tiny bit. And we're going to twist to the left together. So go ahead and twist just your torso. Let your seat stay where it is. And twist your torso and your arms that you're facing toward the left. Inhale, come back to the middle. Exhale over to the right. Inhale, back to the middle. Exhale over to the left. Inhale, back to the middle. Exhale to the right. One last round. Inhale, back to the middle. Exhale to the left. Come back into the middle. Exhale to the right. Come back to center. Let the arms drop nice and heavy by your sides. Reach your right arm up toward the sky here. Left arm stays hanging down. If you're on the ground, you can do the same thing by just simply placing your left fingertips on the ground and putting them a little bit further away from the body. We're going to stretch toward the left side. So let that left arm go heavy. Reach over to the left with that right arm. Maybe your gaze comes up to the ceiling. Go ahead and come back to the middle. Let the right arm drop heavy. Lift the left arm up. Go ahead and stretch over toward the right. Gaze may come up to that right arm, or left arm rather. Go ahead and come back down. Neutral body. Roll out those shoulders, wiggle them out, do whatever you need to do. So now with those twists in mind, coming into a little bit more of our legs now, okay? So now that we had twisted, we'll be able to come back into it here. So we're just going to simply cross our left ankle over our right knee. So those of you on mats, if you can please lay down on your mat and then just bend your knees, that the soles of your feet are on the ground. And then we're just going to cross that left ankle over the right knee that way. So those of you in chairs, again, this is actually a little bit more intense in a chair than it is on the ground in some senses. So just know that you have options. I always like to kind of hold on and hug on to my shin when I have the seated position of this. But the further away your ankle is from your body, the easier this pose is going to be. The closer in toward the body, the more difficult. So allowing yourself to find that space and making sure that this right leg is where it needs to be. So our foot is right underneath of our ankle and our hip is kind of just, it's all in line. So let's go ahead and flex those toes. So again, like we're standing on the wall to the side of us. So flex those toes on that left foot. Hold on to your shin however you wish. And then we're going to do what's called threading the needle. So we're going to do this with our left arm. So we're just going to swoop our left arm through this little hole we created. So if you look down, it's called figure 4 pose for a reason, because it looks like that number 4. So we're going to bring it through the center there and let our hand come down. And from here, I would advise to keep that right hand on your left shin or left ankle. And then we're just going to grasp on with our left hand to the back of the right thigh. Quite a game of twister, right? So while we're doing that, we're just going to simply hinge forward again, just like we did at the beginning of class when we let our head hang heavy. That same type of thing is here. So hinge from the waist, keep the top half of your body as it is. You're probably only going to go a couple inches. If you can see where I'm at here, that's pretty much my end point here too. So just going down to any point where you feel a stretch, not a strain, not anything that's painful by any means, but just simply finding a stretch here, and it doesn't take much. So breathing in And exhaling. Let's release our grip here from our legs. Let that left foot come back down to the mat. Shake out those legs. Go ahead and swing them around if you need to. Bend them, move them. And the same thing on the opposite side. So plant down on that left foot here. Cross the right ankle over the left knee, please. So coming into the stretch on this side, and I'd love for you to just take notice for a second that when we are in this pose, it may be different from side to side. Just like our twists may have been different, that you might have noticed more tension on one side than the other. I will forever put this into every one of my classes that is totally normal. I promise that you're not going crazy or feeling things that you shouldn't feel. That is very real. So from where we are in our pose on this side, knowing that it's okay to not have it be the same. We'll bring our hands through again, but this time it's our right arm that's coming through that hole that we're threading the needle through. Keep your left hand on that right ankle or right shin, and then just grab onto the back of your left thigh with that right hand. Go ahead and fold yourself forward any amount, or stay seated if that's where your edge is there. And I'm almost coming down maybe an inch or two during this. So again, we are all in the same boat, guys. And then take an inhale, lift yourself out of that pose, and go ahead and come back into that comfortable seated position. Once again, feet are on the ground. And we're going to play with the hips a little bit more here too. So first we're going to extend our left leg out. Again, if you are in a chair, I'd advise for you to sit forward just a little bit. Again, make yourself sure that you're not going to tip. You can see I'm right around the middle of my chair here where my weight of my tailbone is. So again, being cognizant of that at all times, of course. But we're going to extend one leg long, and we're going to come into that kind of fold here, and we're going to come into a little bit of a twist. So first, bring that left foot just as it is right underneath of our ankle in line with our hip. And we're going to extend the right leg long, bringing the heel of your foot. So we're flexing those toes again back toward us. Bring our heel to the ground. From here, you can either hold on to the chair, or you can bring those fingers to your waistline. So we're going to just give ourselves a little fold forward here. So same thing, we're trying to fold down toward our right toes, but you don't have to gear your heart over toward those toes. Just let that come to the middle of the ground. So just give yourself that fold enough that you feel it in that right leg. Take one more breath in here. Let it go. Inhale and let that sit yourself back up. And coming into a little twist here, go ahead and cross the left ankle over the right knee. Okay, so left ankle over the right knee. It may keep your foot dangling a little bit, and that's fine. And we're just going to do another extension of that same stretch we did with the number 4. So we can feel that a little bit in our hips. What I'd like you to do is simply use that left hand. Give yourself a little pressure on the inside part of your left thigh or left knee, wherever you're at here. Just giving a tiny tug, just enough that you feel something. Then let's uncross those legs. Keep the left foot out where it is. Step that right foot back underneath of your knee. Okay, so left foot's long. We'll go ahead and hinge at the waist. Bring yourself down just to wherever your tipping point is. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. Slowly sit yourself back up. Cross the right knee over the left. So we're just going to let that foot hang out there in outer space. I'm going to twist this way just so you can see if you're looking at the screen. So this foot's just kind of hanging out there. And I'm going to use my left hand to help keep that hip open. So taking one more breath in, one more breath out. Release all the funky stuff with our legs here. And just checking in on timing on myself here so I know what's going on. Perfect. We are right in the time I wanted to be in. So excellent. From where we're at, if we're still seated away from the back of our chairs, go ahead and just simply sit yourself back If you're on the mat, go ahead and lay down. Find that comfortable position. Let your back, let your seat kind of sink into the ground. Let your feet plant on the earth. Let your hands rest where they may, either on your lap, maybe one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly to help connect that breath and heartbeat. And we're just going to down regulate ourselves now. Now that we've kind of worked up a little bit of a sweat, maybe a little bit of an increase in our heart rate, just bringing that back down and bringing our breath back to normal is where we want to go. So stop any control of the breath without counting your inhales or exhales, without doing anything special. And close your eyes or bring your gaze back to the ground. Come back to that intention. Whatever it is that you set as your goal, as your mantra, come back to that. Remember why we did this practice together today. Take a moment in your own mind and your own body to notice any differences from the beginning of our time together today until now. Maybe they're positive, maybe they're negative, maybe they're confusing, who knows? But just simply letting yourself be and be okay with it. So one last thing to share. As we're in this relaxed position, as we're looking inward with our eyes closed. So Mahanor Fatima had written, Patience said, I'm difficult for you. Hope said, I'll make it easy for you. Patience said, you can't handle me. Hope said, I'll help you to handle it. Patience said, it's hard for you. Hope said, I'll make it light for you. Patience said, I'm tasteless. Hope said, I'll make it tasteful. Patience said, I'll take sacrifice. Hope said, I'll give you more. Patience said, I'll make you tired. Hope said, I'll give you energy. Patience said, I'll give you tears. Hope said, I'll wipe your tears. Patience said, you need hope to bear me. Hope said, I'm here to make you patient. Patience said, I and hope work together. Hope said, I can't work without patience. So knowing that again, it's okay to not be okay. It takes patience to get through any tough times and to come out the other side whole. And also that hope that we get. Hope is worth more than money is worth at any time. More worth than anything. Have that hope. Know that you're not stuck. Know that you are going to come out the other side of this from whatever you're dealing with. And just know that between patience and hope, that they do go hand in hand. That again, as we wait, we'll be patient. And as we're not okay, it's okay to not be. So, ending our class here with the word that means the light in me sees and honors the light in you, and that we are all one, which is namaste. Let's go ahead and swing our arms high over top of our head. Bring your palms to touch one another. And then bring those palms right down to your heart. Let your knuckles of your thumbs press right into your chest. And either out loud or to yourselves. Again, thank yourselves for having patience, for having hope, for knowing where your edges are and where you need to allow for more patience and more space. I hope for all that for you. And let's all bow forward and either say out loud or to ourselves, Namaste. So thank you very, very much, everyone, for joining me today. I always appreciate being able to be with you. If you should have any questions at all, please feel free to push those over towards Sarah. She will get them to me. Otherwise, I thank you again. I wish you a happy week, and I'll see you next week.